Welcome to Movie Shorts Hub, your one stop destination for high octane movie recaps, nail biting thrillers, genius level heists, and unexpected plot twists that leave you stunned. We don't just retell stories, we break them down scene by scene, exposing the deeper meaning, character motives, and hidden genius behind every frame. Whether it's crime, action, mystery, or mind games, we've got you covered. Join our growing community of film lovers and unlock a cinematic world where every detail matters. Subscribe now and experience stories the way they're meant to be unforgettable. Stay tuned for weekly uploads that entertain, surprise, and keep you guessing until the very last second. The story begins around 3:30 in the night when a high security truck stopped outside a donut shop in Los Angeles and two security guards went inside the shop. A car and an SUV blocked the truck's path, and some of these goons got out wearing body armor and gas masks. These goons also had powerful guns. As soon as the guards came out, these goons pointed their guns at the guards. The truck driver then informed the Los Angeles police that some goons had surrounded them and they had big guns. One of the guards smartly tries to take out his gun, but one of the goons shoots at him and then the other goon kills the truck driver. These goons opened the door of the truck and took out another guard. In the meantime, the police also reached there. Firing started from both sides. But what could the normal guns of the police do in front of the assault rifles of these goons? Four policemen and one goon were killed in the shootout, and soon the goons fled with the truck. They took this truck to a warehouse. Gang leader Ray scolds Bosco because he shot at the security guard. Ray tells the rest of the gang that the truck's breakdown needs to be fixed. As Ray opened the truck door, Anson asked Ray if he was okay. Then Ray replied that we have killed four policemen. The police must be searching for us like dogs. Detective Nick O'Brien arrives at the scene of the accident and then approaches the sheriff's department officers standing near the gangster's body. The policemen were not able to understand that. Why did those people take away the empty truck? On this, Nick said that he definitely has some plan behind this. At some distance from the other side of the road, Bosco was taking photographs of this meeting. Going back, Bosco shows the pictures to Ray and he shows Nick's picture and says that he's the one in charge of this incident. Ray tells his colleagues that Nick is the head of the Major Crimes Division. Donnie, who drove the truck last night, after seeing Nick's photo, he went away from there. Nick and his fellow officers were investigating this case. He came to the conclusion that this was the work of an insider. Otherwise, how would they know that this truck would arrive here at 3:30? They suspected that Ray, who was released on parole only 8 months ago, was behind this incident. Donnie worked as a bartender at night. Then he noticed that a man working at the Federal Reserve Bank had forgotten his ID at the bar. He put this ID in the cash register and went to Mac, who is also a member of the Reiki gang. Nick was also sitting in the same bar and he started asking some questions to Donnie. Donnie said that I don't know who comes here and who doesn't. Anyone from criminals to policemen can come here. This bar is for everyone. Donnie nodded at this. When Donnie's shift at the bar ended and he was leaving, Nick knocked on his car's window and knocked Donnie unconscious. When Donnie opened his eyes, he was in an unknown place. When Donnie came out of the bedroom, Nick's team and four women were there. Nick shows Donnie a CCTV photo of him meeting Ray. Detective Gus said that we know your whole story. You were once arrested for stealing a car and running away. You have also gone to jail for attempting to murder several people, and you are the one who has paid the highest fine for driving a car in California to date. Gus explained to him that just one mistake could throw you back in prison for years. Donnie tried to explain to him that please sir, I have only met Ray half a time. Apart from that, I don't know anything. Nick showed Donnie a tattoo on his arm that said regulators. Nick asked, do you know what it means? There is a gang of policemen named Click. I am a part of it. This gang doesn't believe in rules, does not give criminals a chance to reform. She shoots bullets straight inside them. Nick now directly asked Donnie, what is a coward like you doing with such a dangerous gang? Donnie said, sir, I'm just his driver. I don't know anything about the operations of the thieves gang. Nick told Donnie to stay in touch with him. And when I call you, will you pick it up? Otherwise, I will pick you up. On the other hand, that gang of goons was keeping an eye on the Federal Reserve Bank of Los Angeles. Ray said that this is the only bank where theft has never taken place till date. Ray said that the security system here is so strong that there have been 53 attempts of theft here, but no one has succeeded even once, and that is why Ray wants those people to steal here. There, at the police department, the officers learned that Ray, Anson, Donnie, and Bosco were all retired Marine commandos. The officers investigated all the thefts that had occurred in the last 10 years. So it turns out that during the 10 years that Ray was in jail, no major theft took place. Nick told all the officers that if we catch Ray, then all the unsolved thefts will also be revealed. Ray and his gang now go back to the same warehouse. Ray started explaining the entire day's routine of Federal Bank to his gang. Ray said the bank removes old, unused or torn bills from its database every day. Between 4 o'clock or 5 pm, the notes are cut into small pieces and this waste is picked up by a waste management company. He said the $1 bill counting room alone sees at least $30 million coming in daily. Ray plans that they have to get there before the notes are cut. This way, he will have at least $40 million, which no one else has. We are not stealing from anyone. Donnie now starts working in a Chinese food delivery company, from where the employees working in the bank used to place orders daily. Donnie went inside with 2 bags to deliver food to the bank. Security cut Donnie off from entering, with which he reached inside. Donnie delivered 1 bag to the women sitting in the cafeteria but went into the washroom with the other bag. He hid that bag in the ventilator hole above. That same night, Ray and his friends were eating dinner at a restaurant. Then suddenly the police arrived there. Nick walked over to Ray's table and spoke to Donnie, showing that Donnie met him at the gym. Back at the warehouse, Ray suspects Donnie might be a cop. Donnie refuses, but Ray pulls his gun on him and asks him again how he knows Nick. Donnie told the truth that Nick caught him and he knows about all of you. After this, Donnie never met him again. Ray believes him and asks Donnie to pass on the news to Nick that the heist is going to happen this Friday. Donnie met Nick at a suit shop and Nick asked what you guys were doing at the restaurant. But Donnie changes the topic and says that the robbery is going to happen this Friday, but he does not know where. Now Nick reached the club where Ray's girlfriend works and started watching the show. Ray's girlfriend came down from the stage and walked up to Nick and whispered something in his ear. After which both of them reached the girl's house. The next morning when Ray came there, his girlfriend ran out of the living room and Nick came out shirtless. Both of them were staring at each other and then both of them looked at the gun kept on the table. Nick motions for Ray to pick up the gun with his eyes. But Ray didn't fall into a trap. Instead, he walked past Nick into the bedroom and closed the door. Nick then got in his car and called his partner and told him the address of the next theft location, which he had learned from Ray's girlfriend. Later, Ray's girlfriend told him that I did what you said. Now the day of the robbery arrived and the police were keeping an eye on the bank. Just then a van stopped in the parking lot. Ray and his gang arrived equipped with bulletproof jackets, masks and assault rifles. As soon as he entered the bank, he shot at the security camera and ordered everyone to sit down. The gang took away everyone's phones, tied their hands and also put everyone's heads in bags. Ray told the bank manager to call the police and tell them that they want a ransom of $1 million and that too in a helicopter full of fuel. Otherwise, we will shoot a hostage every hour. And if any policeman tries to come here, everyone will die one by one. Soon the police and the FBI arrived outside the bank. Suddenly a phone rang inside the bank and Ray picked up the phone. He directly asked whether he would get what he asked for or not. The policeman said that we are working on your demand. On this, Ray said that you got a man killed just to make a phone call without arranging the money. Then a man took the boss to the back and the sound of a gunshot was heard. Now the officer called again and this time the manager picked up the phone. The manager said that one man had already been killed. And every time you call, that many people will die. So make the next call only when you have arranged for the amount of money these thieves have demanded. The officer asked if he could wait for 90 minutes. To which Ray agreed and the manager passed on the message. Outside, the police were looking at the map of the bank. A loud explosion was heard from inside, and the police understood that the thieves had broken the safe. Nick sees something on the map and asks Tony, "What is this?" He told that there is a sewage line which has probably been closed now. Then Nick saw a way to get into the pig and he thought of something. After this, Nick said that we will have to go inside. He picked up an iron rod and started opening the main door of the bank. Nick goes inside and asks the captives if they are alright. There was not a single thief there. Then Nick and his companions went to the back of the bank, where the hostage was taken and killed. But killing him was also a drama. That girl was also alive. Soon they spotted a pit that was connected to a sewage line. That means the thieves ran away from there. Nick followed them into the sewage hall. Mac called the bank posing as an officer of the Elmit Security Company. He said, "Our truck is just 2 minutes away. He must be arriving soon, so have the gate opened." Ray and Anson, dressed exactly like Alda's guards, initially go to collect the delivery in a stolen truck. He had this truck painted. The design was changed a bit so that it looked exactly like the original truck. Both of them stopped the truck at the bank's security gate and showed their IDs to the Federal Reserve Bank officer who was on duty at that time. The ID looked absolutely real. Also, he was informed over the phone that the truck was about to arrive. That's why the guard, without much suspicion, let them in. Both of them took out two boxes full of notes from the rear of the truck and took them to the note counting floor. The money counters then put these stubs into the $100 bill counting room. While Ray and Anson went to the waiting room, Bosco was in the tunnel underneath the bank. Ray tells him on the radio that Donnie has reached the counting room. Bosco hits a switch in the power grid, slowing down the power throughout the bank. Due to this, not only the bank's note cutting machine stopped working, but also the cameras and motion sensors in the room that counted the dollar notes also stopped working. A police car told the counters that they would have to shut down the system for a while and they should take a break. As soon as the counters and police left the counting area, Ray told Donnie over the radio that he could now do his job. There is no one there. Donnie was hiding inside a box. All around him were bundles of dollar notes. He came out of the box and some bundles fell down, which he put back inside. A woman working in a bank who ordered Chinese food every day called the restaurant. Mac picked up the phone. This woman complained that I had placed the order 1 hour ago. Why hasn't he come yet? Mac said in a Chinese accent that yes, the food is about to arrive. Police and security guards inside the bank noticed that the cameras and motion sensors were not working. So he asked the other guard to count all the boxes as quickly as possible. Otherwise, anything can go wrong. The security guard started calling the count people into the cafeteria. Donnie was currently hiding under a table in the counting room. He was putting the dollar notes that were about to be deducted by the machine into a black zipper bag. After which he threw those bags in the dustbin. The security guard came back into the counting room with two counters. Ray gives Donnie the signal to run. He removed the cover of an air vent. I entered it and locked it again from inside. Over the radio, Donnie tells Ray that he's in the vent, and Ray gives Bosco the signal to turn on the lights. As soon as the lights came on, everyone got busy with their work again. Donnie made his way through the vent and down the bathroom ventilator shaft. He picked up the food he had left there earlier and used the same access card the bankman had left at the bar to move around the building. Donnie delivered food to the woman and then left the building. On the other hand, some of Donnie's friends were working as garbage collectors from the bank. Both of them were sent in two different trucks bearing the name of the same company. All this was planned. Both of them stopped at a crossroads and both signaled by shaking their heads. Alexei picked up trash from his cart in the bank's basement. On the other hand, Ray and Anson came out of the bank with their security truck. Boss was chasing a garbage truck and he revealed his location to Ray. Soon Ray reaches the garbage truck and stops it in front. Meanwhile, Bosco stopped this truck from behind. Bosco ran towards the driver, pointed the gun at him and told him to get out. Bosco took him away in the truck and the rest of the gang followed him. Meanwhile, Nick was searching for Ray and his gang all over the city. Then he saw Donnie on the road and he stopped the car. Mac watched from a distance as the cops put Donnie in their truck. Nick and his friends beat up Donnie and asked where Ray and the others are. Donnie gave up and finally told them the location. Ray and his gang were at the dump site at this time. Mac calls Ray to tell him Donnie has been caught. Now what to do next? But Ray did not respond and disconnected the phone. He told Anson that Donnie and Mac were caught and then they both left in the car. Nick caught a glimpse of Ray's car, after which he chased her and got onto the traffic-filled highway. He radioed Detective Murph and Baracho to give the location. Ray saw in the mirror that Nick's car was behind 20 cars. Gus handcuffs Donnie to the car and then leaves with Nick and Tony. Murph and Baracho also reached there. Ray, Anson and Bosco also started to get out of their truck. As the cops were approaching him, Ray opened fire, hitting one cop, killing him on the spot. Now the policemen also started retaliating. Suddenly the silence was broken and bullets started raining. Bullets were coming from both sides, tearing through the vehicles. Moscow was shot in the neck, after which Ray retaliated by shooting the policeman in the knee. Ray and Anson began running down the street, with Nick close behind them. Along with Nick, the policeman took a good aim and killed Anson. Ray now took off running and entered an alley with Nick right behind him. Nick shoots at Ray, wounding him badly. Ray was somehow trying to reload his gun. With great difficulty, he reloaded the gun and somehow stood on his feet. He began moving toward Nick, firing at him. Nick reloads his gun and shoots Ray in the chest. Ray fell down and somehow crawled to hide behind a car and took out a magazine full of bullets from his jacket. He had run out of bullets, but he still got to his feet and pointed his empty gun at Nick. Nick reluctantly shoots Ray to protect himself. Little did he know that Ray didn't have bullets. When Nick got back to his car, Donnie had fled. Nick and Gus removed black bags from Ray's car and discovered they contained pieces of currency, no whole notes. Nick went to the bar where Donnie worked and asked for his address. The owner said that Donnie left the job 2 days ago. He was sitting at the bar when two bank employees came there with bank access cards around their necks. He looked carefully at the football team picture on the wall where Donnie was sitting with some of his friends. As Nick left the bar, he spotted the bank. He understood that the mastermind behind this entire game was only Donnie. We finally see Donnie working as a bartender at a bar in London. His friends, who had played the entire game as garbage collectors, were also sitting with him. Tony had already planned to betray Ray and his gang. That's why his friends were driving two identical looking garbage trucks. One contained crush notes and the other contained real Rs 100 notes, totaling 30 million. It is revealed that Donnie had taken out the money from the bags, filled it in tires, and sent it to Panama. And now he was planning another robbery in London. Get it done quickly. And just like that, the biggest heist no one ever saw coming ended with a twist no one expected. The mastermind, not the boss, not the trigger happy gangster. It was the quiet driver, the underdog, the one who blended in while everyone else looked the other way. Donnie played the game and won. Asterisk, asterisk. But this wasn't just about guns and cash. This was about patience, precision, and playing the long game. It was about rewriting your fate in silence and letting your success do the talking. Because in the end, asterisk, it's not about being the loudest in the room. It's about having the sharpest mind when it matters most. Asterisk. Donnie proved that brains can outwit bullets. That strategy can outplay strength. And when the dust settles, the one left standing is the one who stayed 10 steps ahead. Asterisk. Even the quietest player can pull off the loudest move if he plays his cards right. Asterisk. You don't need permission to take the lead. Sometimes all you need is a plan. Asterisk. Donnie vanished into the London shadows. 30 million in the bag. Another job already in motion. And the world? Still clueless. So ask yourself, if Donnie could change the game, what's stopping you? If this story got your heart racing, then you're right where you need to be. Welcome to Movie Shorts Hub, your go-to zone for thrilling movie recaps, explosive plot twists, high-stakes action, and deep dive storytelling like never before. We don't just tell you what happened, we show you why it mattered. We break down every twist, every betrayal, every genius move in a way that makes you feel like you're inside the story. So if you're tired of plain recaps and want something with real edge and emotion, then this is the moment. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and share it with the people who live for stories that hit hard and stay with you. Life doesn't hand out second chances, you create them. See the twist no one saw coming. Ask the world doubt you until they can't ignore you. This is more than just movies. This is about mindset, momentum, and the magic of strategy. This is Movie Shorts Hub, where stories aren't just told, they're decoded, they're felt, and they're remembered. See you in the next one. Until then, stay sharp, stay cinematic.